Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another installment of the Prosperity Through Multifamily Real Estate Investing Podcast. I am your host, Real Estate Cody, and with me, as always, is the one and only coffee connoisseur himself, Mr. Brian Alfaro. Good morning, Brian. What's up, buddy?
Good morning, Cody. Nice to see you. We got some exciting, bittersweet news here today, but definitely nice to see you.
Always great to see you. And yes, it is quite a bittersweet episode. And for those of you who are tuning in, wondering what the heck we're talking about, no, we are not falling off the face of the planet or disappearing. But this is the last episode recording that we will do for the Prosperity Through Multifamily Real Estate Investing Podcast. And it's been a fun journey, Brian, to say the least. And I kind of would like to kind of spend a few minutes kind of talking about that, right? So we, I don't know, we're 140 plus episodes in, somewhere around there. The show's been running for about 2.5 years. And, we started this show with the intent to help educate other potential investors on how to get their start in multifamily, right? Whether you're a passive investor, whether you're an active investor, whether you're looking to do small multifamily, large multifamily. And then obviously with our focus being multifamily syndication, we really wanted to help people scale to the level of multifamily syndication because we love and believe in that model. And I don't know, I think I hope that we've done a pretty good job in doing that. I know we get a lot of great feedback all the time from the show, but looking back, we've had so many great guests on the show.
Yeah, I mean, the easiest way to kind of sum it up is we accomplished our goal, right? So like you mentioned, the show was started. Remember you and John on those episodes, guys were just, I wouldn't say you were winging it, but not as polished as we are today.
And are we polished today? Are we?
I'm going to tell myself we're polished. Just roll with it. But you guys had a mission, had a goal to educate others on how to get started and being, either an active or a passive investor. And we've gotten nothing but great feedback over the next 2 years. But life's about chapters, and sometimes you have to turn the page and start a new chapter if you want to continue to grow. And for us, our goal is to continue to grow our business, find other ways to continue to add value to the people in our network. And the podcast has been a great medium, and zero regrets. Obviously, we've met so many, as you mentioned, great investors and vendors. And honestly, I'm much smarter and we're much wiser real estate investors because of the guests we've had on. So, nothing but thanks to them. But it's time for a new chapter.
Yeah, I reflect a lot on that too. As much fun as we've had talking with other people and being able to hopefully provide some great insights that would help other people in their businesses. I think selfishly, this has been a great personal library for us as well. Like you said, we've gotten a firsthand education course by being in the hot seat here and having so many great guests on the show. And, I know that we've learned a ton just in the evolution of the show and whatnot that we've been able to apply to our own business. And so that's been really, really cool to look back on that show. But like you said, I look at this when we talk about change, right? It's kind of like a multifamily deal where you have a business plan for X amount of time. And then once you execute that business plan, it's time to move on. And to your point here, I think that's really kind of the reflection point for us on the show is that, I think we accomplished our mission. We hopefully added a ton of value to people in a way that improved their lives and their businesses. And now it's on to bigger and better things. And so looking for additional ways to hopefully impact our community in a positive way. So, it's kind of interesting, man. We've been doing this. We record every week, almost every week for the last 2 years. And, now our priorities are shifting a little bit. So it's going to be an interesting change.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. Change is a little scary because there's unknown, and that's a normal feeling. But at the same time, it's also exciting because of the unknown as well. You just don't know what's around the corner. And we definitely aren't just disappearing randomly. We've got some some things in the works that some we can share. But it's definitely an exciting time, and 2022, we're almost done with it. And it's been an interesting year. A lot of investors have made a lot of changes to their business too, their investing strategy, both active and passive. So I would say now is a great time to start to begin to pivot and plan for the upcoming year, 2023, because we still believe in real estate as a vehicle, as an investment vehicle. We still believe in multifamily, still believe there's a need for great housing, not only in Houston and San Antonio, but just around the US. And what a better way to prepare than let's get some changes, let's put some plans in place, and let's hit the ground running in 2023.
Yeah, that's a really good takeaway, and maybe one last kind of conversation that we can have with our faithful listeners here is that, when we're experiencing times of uncertainty like we are now, and I reflect back on our time during the COVID pandemic where transactional volume all but ceased, it seemed like all activity kind of came to a screeching halt in a very short order. We'll find ourselves in a market cycle now where, because of the constraints on the debt markets and whatnot, like it seems that we're in that inflection point again where things are just moving a lot slower than what they have over the past 12, 24 months. And I think a lot of people would look at that and say, well, golly, there's nothing to buy, or there's nothing to invest in, or there's not a lot of activity. But to the point that you just so well alluded to, I think this is a great time for people to really reflect on their businesses and the infrastructure of their businesses and what's working well, and building a plan around that, what's not working well, and making adjustments where needed, and really positioning yourself going into, like you said, 2023, and whenever this market does kind of recorrect and starts being active again, really position yourself to be ready for that transition and hit the ground running.
Absolutely, man. You gotta prepare, and you gotta read the land and survey this, survey the land, so to speak, and see what's going on and be constantly adapting. There's, that cheesy saying or whatever, that if you don't change, you die. If you don't adapt, you die, or whatever, something along those lines. And we're firm believers in that. And we're always ready to make strategic changes. We don't make knee-jerk reactions to things. Obviously, we well thought out. When we made the decision for the show, for example, I felt like we took way too long to make the decision. Weeks and weeks, if not months and months. We've been talking
months and months,
yeah, months and months. What's the strategy with the podcast, and where do we need to take it, or where do we need to go to make sure that it's continuing to add value to our listeners and add value to our business as well on the back end. So like we keep running around in circles here, but it's a great time to evaluate your business, make any changes necessary before we get into the holidays and you're too busy to think about making changes to your business. And before you know it, you're already in 2023 and you're behind on your goal planning. So for anybody who's listening who has wants any final piece of advice, is, just reflect out where you're at, put some plans in place for the remainder of this year. What do you need to do today to set yourself up for tomorrow, or 2023 in this case, and start working on it, make it happen.
Yep, I completely agree. So let's expand on that a little bit further then. We mentioned already that we're not disappearing, we're not exiting multifamily. So if anybody just has that thought, don't worry, we're still here, we're still bullish, we're still going to be the next Grant Cardones or whoever's buying all the real estate. Okay, so that's still going to be Blue Hill Capital. But when we talk about kind of putting a pause here on the podcast and looking at what other ways can we add more value, we've been spending a lot of time looking at other things that we can do to have that positive impact. And so, you and I have both been spending a lot of time on providing or curating some online education that we feel would be highly impactful for people in their businesses. And so, let's start there and talk about, kind of what you've been working on and what I've been working on, and then, how people can follow us there.
Yeah, I think one of the things that is similar between you and I, Cody, is we love to teach. And the podcast has been a phenomenal medium for education and teaching. The challenge with the podcast, at least in my opinion, is you never really know who's listening. And that's not a bad thing, but ideally we're educating people. We just don't know who they are. We of course we get thank yous on the street and people tell us the show's great pretty regularly, but it's not as intimate. You don't get to see the fruits of our podcast labor. So, that helped play a role in our decision to find a more intimate way to add value to people and educate people in a more one-on-one type setting, so to speak. So, we came up with the idea several months ago to really niche down on what we know we're good at in our business. And in our business, if you haven't been following us or not quite sure what we do, you're in acquisitions and do a kick-ass job underwriting and understanding markets and, knowing what levers to pull and what landmines to avoid when it comes to looking at a deal. And then I'm good at putting systems and processes into place and automations and following up with investors and just building those funnels to really help people know who you are and making sure they're staying nurtured. So why not add value to other people who are looking to add that to their business or improve upon that to their business, or maybe they're just getting started and they have no idea where to start. And why not, like I said, find a way to add value to them in that way. So, we're working on a couple of courses in our niches, for underwriting and helping people get through to their first deal or their next deal, so to speak. And for me, putting together a course to really help people understand how to build automations and follow up so that you can stay in contact with your investors and you can keep them, you can keep them top of mind. They can keep you top of mind. And then they don't forget about you by having a really robust, but easy to understand CRM system to make sure that as you're meeting people, you're not losing contact with them and forgetting about them. And you're staying SEC compliant and all the things that are really important in our business cycle. So definitely excited about it and looking forward to sharing more about it.
Yeah, and going back to your point earlier about like trying something new, I told you this the other day offline when we were having this discussion, right? It's kind of got butterflies in my stomach because it's kind of like you're starting over again to a degree, right? You're trying something new that we haven't executed on before, but with something new always comes excitement and nerves, and all in good ways. But we've talked about this before, and when we talk about these two courses that we've been working on, like real estate at its core is very simple. You either have deals or dollars, right? And we've said that time and time again. And when it comes to deals, you need to know how to buy these deals. Anybody can go buy a building, a piece of real estate, but do you know how to really buy it at the right price, at the right basis? And most importantly, like you mentioned, like, do you know how to avoid the pitfalls and the mistakes when you're buying a deal that could cost you a lot of money, a lot of time, and a lot of heartache? And so that's really going to be the basis behind what I'm working on, is teaching people how to avoid those pitfalls, how to avoid those big costly mistakes, how to mitigate your risk when we look at buying these multi-million-dollar deals. And that ties into you working on the investor relations side, because as owner operators, we have a fiduciary responsibility to our investors, right? When we're taking millions of dollars in investor capital, we have a responsibility to make sure that we mitigate those risks and that we're transparent about that. And so you're working on really nurturing those relationships and putting together a very effective email campaign that keeps investors warm and engaged, and building that trust and rapport with you. So, we're really focusing on still the core fundamentals of the business, right? Deals and dollars, essentially. So
that's right.
Yeah, so I'm excited about it. So for anybody that's listening, anybody who would love to stay connected with us and learn more about what we're discussing here, whether you're looking to build out your active campaign or your CRM, your email nurturing, things like that. And then if you're looking to learn how to underwrite deals, get to your first deal and really avoid those pitfalls, then Brian, what number do they need to text to get the information?
Yeah, if you have interest in working with Cody and I and hearing more about what we're talking about, getting better at analyzing deals, being an expert, being a pro at underwriting, or putting together a CRM, either getting the guidance you need or having somebody help you do it, text the word courses to 832-743-1400. Again, courses to 832-743-1400. And we will definitely follow up with you and get you early access to these courses, maybe even a little special something for signing up early, but definitely, shoot us a text.
Absolutely, absolutely. And just to kind of reiterate here, this is going to be a small, intimate groups that we're talking about here, right? So, if you really want to work closely with us, you really want to get that, those nuggets, definitely make sure to reach out to us. We'd love to talk to you further about that. But, again, Brian, just kind of recapping here. Man, it's been a great journey. This has been a lot of fun, and obviously we'll miss all of our audience members who are big followers of the show and been for some time. And so, listen, if you haven't already, please make sure to get in our database, reach out to Brian and I, so we can make sure that we can keep this open dialogue with you. We absolutely want to make sure that we, can stay connected with you and keep adding value to you any way we can and such. And so, any final thoughts, Brian, before we give a final salute here?
No, just wanted to say thanks for allowing me to co-host with you. It's been a fun journey. I'm sure it won't be our last time talking together, at least in front of the camera on a microphone. And then, of course, nothing but mad respect and thanks for everybody who's listened to us along on our journey. And we're definitely looking forward to staying in contact with you. Don't be shy. Don't hesitate to reach out.
Yeah, I want to echo that, Brian. We couldn't be here today, 140 episodes in, without the support of our great listeners here. So I want to thank every single person that's ever tuned in, downloaded the episode, and help us get this far on the show. We definitely love each and every one of you. And, we want you to have all the success that you have coming to you. So we wish everybody nothing but the best. But for a final time, we bid you all farewell. Or no, I'm sorry, we're not bidding you farewell. It's not goodbye, but it's see you later. How about that?
Love it.
All right. Thanks for everybody for tuning in.